Fox had really come up with the idea, their everlasting credit, about this time it counts. And so, that was fine. I mean, and the two people I talked to at the time, I called Ron Santo, whom I loved, and who was sick, and then trying out, and then we talked about the All-Star game. And I told him the idea, and he loved it. And Henry Aaron happened to call me a day later, and I told him I talked to Santo. What did he think about that? Loved the idea. Because it brought player, and by the way, the next year, we're sitting in Chicago, and it's the ninth inning of the game, and little Furcal hits a ball that he thought was going out. Oh my God, we're going to have another tie, but it was caught at the wall. But all the players on both teams are all lined up, so they all stayed. And so that's what we were trying to do. We have the best All-Star game, and that's why we did what we did.
All right, Bud. Bud Selig, former baseball commissioner, much embattled now in the Hall of Fame. There's some people, there's now this big thing about, these people don't belong in a Hall of Fame. I saw one writer or one source on the internet, they had 25 players who don't belong in a Hall of Fame. They put down Pie Traynor. First 100 years of baseball, Pie Traynor was considered to be the greatest third baseman ever. But now he doesn't belong in a Hall of Fame. I just 320 lifetime hitter. I mean, that makes no sense to me whatsoever. By the way, I don't want to kick anybody out of the Hall of Fame except Bud Selig. Okay, I don't think he belongs. Football Hall of Fame, Jerry Jones. Yeah, brought a lot of money in. That's all he did. Destroyed the Cowboys dynasty, fired Tom Landry. I mean, wonderful fella, right? There we go. But that was here's the thing. You can talk all about that this time again. The reason why they made the All-Star game for a period of time count for home field advantage in the World Series was because they wanted to do something for the All-Star game, because the rivalry between the two leagues was done because Bud Selig killed the two leagues. We still have an American and National League, for scheduling, but it's now all under the guise of Major League Baseball, and you got the rules changed with the DH and such, don't get me wrong, but it's the same, it used to be, as I say this a million times, but if you were hearing for the first time, it was like what it used to be with, say, the old National Football League and the American Football League. And I mean, these were two different leagues, starting in 1901, going all the way to 1997. Gotta change that! Why? There was such tremendous rivalry with it. Well, the Mets should play the Yankees. Should I reiterate what I've said for a while? I mean, I'm a sports talk show host in the Tri-Cities. I don't know if this is going to get to the commissioner's office. I kind of doubt it will. But what I'd like to see happen, I don't want to change a 162 schedule. I would like to get rid of the wild card rounds that Bud Selig seems so proud of. And all I think it does is devalue the regular season, devalue the playoffs. World Series ratings are half what they were before the wild card. The fans love it. No, they don't. By the way, I have been to wild card games. And they have been exciting. And you know what? I mean, one game of excitement does not mean, we can play, I know. Let's play a baseball game with golf balls. Wow, this player hit 7 home runs, but that's not best for the sport. Okay? I mean, it's just, so that's the thing about changes and all that. What I would do for scheduling, 162 games, I would have an American, I'd try to reinstitute the leagues. And I would have an American League, I'll call it old. And I'll have an American League new. And I'll have a National League old and a National League new. I got to do a commentary on the monologue and all this. This is what I'd do. And 8 teams in every, I'd expand by 2. Probably put a team in Mexico City and Montreal. Something like that. Okay, I want big markets. Then what I'd do is I would have with these new teams, if you will, I'd bring the Astros back to the National League and maybe the Brewers and the American, just for the heck of it. But in doing all of this, I would then have a situation where I'd go back to the old 154 game schedule. If you don't know what the 154 game schedule was, it was really something to see. It really worked out perfectly. Every team played 11 games at home against each other and 11 on the road. And plus, even though you didn't have divisions, you did have section teams, okay, regional teams, if you will. You didn't have divisions, but you had geographic sensibility in scheduling. So I'm going to go real old-time baseball before the relocations and use this, okay? New York Giants, Brooklyn Dodgers, Boston Braves, Philadelphia Phillies. That's the National League, okay? Those are the Eastern teams. Pirates, Reds, Cubs, Cardinals. Those are the Western teams at the time, all right? Now, what that meant was that when those Eastern teams played Western teams, everybody went over, and in the American League, the Western teams, St. Louis Browns, Chicago White Sox, Detroit Tigers, Cleveland Indians, would then go to the Eastern teams. Washington Senators, Boston Red Sox, Philadelphia A's, and the New York Yankees. And by the way, yes, when the Braves moved to Milwaukee, Milwaukee became a Western team, and the Pirates became an Eastern team. So they would still keep it that way. I think Baltimore was still a Western team even after the Browns moved in '54. Check that out and all that. So you had both the Baltimore Colts and the Baltimore Orioles playing in Western divisions, so to speak. I mean, that made a lot of sense. Anyway, but what you then did was you had a circumstance where, let us say then, if the Eastern and the Western teams played each other, then you knew what the games were. So in other words, if the Brooklyn Dodgers were playing the New York Giants, you knew that the Boston Braves were playing the Philadelphia Phillies. I mean, just the way the schedule, it works so perfectly. I'd want to bring that back. But then, around this time, I might want to have celebration of baseball, and I'd let, just like they do in college football or NFL preseason or something, I'd let the baseball teams schedule their own games. If you want to do interleague play, you want the Mets to play the Yankees, hey, here's where you do it. I'm not against the Mets playing the Yankees. I understand the appeal of it. But you let the teams decide it. I'm going to have to say, forgive me, I don't know the Braves offhand, but I'll just say this. There's been interleague play since 1997, right? You know how many times New York Yankees have played in Pittsburgh? Twice. 2 series in 22 years. That's not really, but you sacrifice, because of interleague play, their old rivalry with the Phillies. They only play once a year. Home and away. That's not right. I mentioned this to the Braves fans. Braves and Reds. I realize the Tri-Cities does not, run the rest, all of baseball. Don't get me wrong. But Braves and Reds have become a regional rivalry. Geographic. Certainly important around here. Braves and Reds play each other once in Cincinnati, once in Atlanta every year. But, the Braves, every year they get to play the Blue Jays. 92 World Series really wasn't that huge. Ed Sprague might like it. Yes, we wish that bunt that Otis Nixon laid down, if you are a Braves fan, was just not, it was just deadened a little bit more. You wish the grass was just a little bit higher at Fulton County Stadium. You are happy for Dave Winfield for getting the 81 World Series off his back by getting the winning hit in the 92 series. You're upset that Charlie Leibrandt was once again a GOAT. However, that is not so defining that the Blue Jays and Braves must play every year, and that you get to sacrifice Braves and Reds, who used to play each other 18 times a year. 9 at home, 9 on the road. Makes no sense. All right? Blue Jays and Braves, one World Series 27 years ago. No. Nice World Series, good baseball history. Doesn't mean they should play every year. But if you wanted to, because of that, okay, schedule your own games in those 8. Do it with the commissioner's office. I mean, I can see where New York Yankees, why do you want to play the Orioles 8 times at home to win the games? They're willing to do it for a paycheck. This is not in the best interest of baseball. Yeah, you go figure something else out. Play the Mets. Play the Red Sox for another game. I mean, but don't do this. Play the Nationals. New York versus Washington. That's always good. Don't do this. Play the Dodgers. Oh, okay. But there'll be approval with geography, with history. Could be Blue Jays, Braves for 2 games, if you wanted to. But you then have those 8 games, and you play them around this time of year. That's what I'd do. Then, first place, that's who goes to the playoffs. You have National League teams play each other, and then you have the American Leagues play each other. 8 games, no interleague play, unless, like I said, that's what you scheduled in your 8 games. Because then that would be really special. Braves Blue Jays is not special. No. Pirates Tigers 1909 World Series. No one was alive back then. They play every year. Why? Makes no, but we get that instead of Pirates Phillies. Who do you think the Pirates and the Phillies fans want to play? One of the problems with interleague play. It's one of the but we had to change things, says Bud Selig, because we did it. That's how they did it in the Polo Grounds. They did it right in the Polo Grounds era. Okay, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You were #1 sport a while back. Go back to those ways.
Is a world-renowned